Alarms sounded, doors locked down, officers scrambled to verify his absence. Security footage confirmed what they feared. James Allen Bryant had escaped the Jefferson County Jail in broad daylight. Within minutes, the escape hit local news. Police departments across the county were put on alert. The sheriff's office released Bryant's mugshot and a description of the stolen van. But Bryant wasn't driving aimlessly. He had a plan. Roughly 12 miles away in the heart of Beaumont, Bryant ditched the van in a motel parking lot. Surveillance cameras showed him stepping out, now wearing civilian clothes. Where he got them, no one knows. It's assumed he either stashed them in advance or acquired them during his brief time on the run. Either way, the uniform was gone. So was the identity of an inmate. Inside the motel, Bryant checked in under a fake name. Quiet, unassuming, a man with purpose. He stayed in room 203. He didn't leave, he didn't use the phone. He kept the blinds closed and waited. Whatever his plan was, it was unfolding in silence. For the next several hours, law enforcement scoured the city. Helicopters hovered. Highway patrol set up checkpoints. But by evening, frustration began to grow. No sightings, no leads, no clue where Bryant had gone. Until a tip came in, a motel clerk, curious about the sudden appearance of a man matching Bryant's description, called the tip line. Police responded immediately. They surrounded the building and moved in, guns drawn, radios silent. Room 203, door locked. No answer. A battering ram took it down. Inside, they found Bryant lying on the bed, fully dressed, as if expecting the end. On the nightstand, a half-eaten sandwich, a prepaid phone, and a bag with freshly cut hair. He had dyed it, from dirty blonde to jet black. He'd even trimmed his beard. The transformation wasn't complete, but it was enough to throw off a casual observer. Unfortunately for him, it wasn't enough to fool the police. He was arrested without resistance. Later, investigators would uncover pieces of a much bigger plan. Bryant had been trying to arrange transport out of the state, possibly to Mexico. Several calls were made using the motel's Wi-Fi. Names, numbers, contacts, some encrypted, some not. But the escape window had closed faster than he expected. The fallout was immediate. Jefferson County officials launched a full investigation. How did a man with a history of violence gain access to a county vehicle? Why were the keys left unattended? Why wasn't the garage monitored more closely? It was a scandal. Several corrections officers were disciplined, procedures were rewritten, trustee access was reviewed, and the white van, it was quietly removed from service, a silent reminder of what complacency can cost. Bryant, now facing a stack of new charges, escape, grand theft auto, impersonation, and more, was transferred to a maximum security prison. No trustee status, no privileges, just walls, bars, and a long, hard sentence waiting for him. But the story didn't end there. In the months that followed, Bryant's escape became a kind of legend. Local news stations replayed the footage. Radio hosts debated how a man in plain sight fooled the system. And inside other prisons across Texas, inmates whispered his name, not out of admiration, but disbelief. Because the truth is, Bryant's escape wasn't sophisticated. It wasn't high-tech. It didn't involve tunnels or helicopters or elaborate conspiracies. It was simple, bold, and terrifyingly effective. One man, one set of keys, one open garage. Sometimes that's all it takes. For law enforcement, it was a wake-up call. A reminder that even the most basic routines, when taken for granted, can become cracks in the system. Cracks wide enough for someone like James Allen Bryant to slip through. And for Bryant, that brief taste of freedom, those few hours outside the wire, came at a heavy price. Whatever future he had before that day was gone, buried under more years, more restrictions, and a permanent label, escape risk. He may have driven off that morning thinking he was leaving his old life behind, but fate had other plans, because freedom, when stolen, never lasts for long. It was a quiet March morning in Beaumont, Texas. The sky was overcast, and the wind carried a slight chill, enough to make the guards on duty pull their jackets tighter. Inside the Jefferson County Jail, the usual hum of institutional life echoed through the halls. Footsteps on linoleum floors, the metallic slam of distant cell doors, the indistinct murmurs of inmates starting their day. Nothing seemed unusual, but behind the appearance of order, one man had already made up his mind. Today, he would no longer be just an inmate. Today, he would become a fugitive. James Allen Bryant was 40 years old with a lengthy criminal record and an even longer list of regrets. Arrested on charges of robbery and unlawful possession of a firearm, he was no stranger to incarceration. But this time, something was different. Something had snapped. He wasn't going to sit in a cell and wait for the system to decide his fate. He was going to take it back by force, if necessary. Bryant had managed to secure a trustee position within the jail. It was a role granted to inmates considered cooperative, responsible, and low risk. But appearances can be deceiving. In Bryant's case, the calm demeanor was a mask, a cover, a calculated performance in a long con that was about to come to life. As a trustee, he was assigned to clean parts of the jail facility, including administrative hallways, maintenance areas, and even the garage, places where other inmates were strictly prohibited. This level of access gave him something most inmates could only dream of, an understanding of the jail's layout and routines. For weeks, he observed, he took note of every detail: when the guards changed shifts, when the garage door was left open, when vehicles came and went, and most importantly, where the keys were kept. He waited patiently, quietly, like a predator sizing up his prey, until finally the right day arrived. It was just past 7:30 a.m. The guards were focused on shift turnover, paperwork was being reviewed, radios were buzzing with routine updates, nothing out of the ordinary. Bryant, dressed in his tan trustee uniform, was sweeping the garage floor. No shackles, no handcuffs, just a broom, a mop bucket, and opportunity. Near the entrance of the garage was a white county-owned van. The keys, as usual, were hanging from a hook on the wall. A careless habit, one that would soon cost the jail dearly. Bryant glanced around. The hallway behind him was empty. The garage door was partially open to allow airflow. The timing was perfect. Without hesitation, he dropped the mop, snatched the keys, jumped into the van, and turned the ignition. The engine roared to life. For a split second, there was silence. Then the sound of tires screeching across concrete. By the time anyone realized what had happened, Bryant was gone. What followed was chaos.